Hello, I'm Guilherme Anjos and I'm the lead designer at Figma to Qt. In this demo, we're gonna walk through the full workflow of Figma to Qt. Figma to Qt is a plugin that converts your design directly into QML code, ready to use in Qt applications. It connects the gap between the design tool and the development environment. With the Figma to Qt, what the designer creates in Figma reaches the device without requiring a developer to interpret the design intent or choices. We have been in beta with the plugin for a few months, and we collected feedback from designers, and we are now ready to make it available for everyone to use. In this demo, we will go through 5 key steps: how to connect Qt controls, how to preview the design live in QML, how to connect the design variables, how to address any conversion issues, and how to export. The design we are using throughout this demo is a magical HMI interface for an infusion pump, showing all the supported features in context. Let's get started. We start inside Figma with our infusion pump design file open. It has 3 screens: Setup Primary Infusion, Infusing, and System Settings. To launch the plugin, go to the Figma plugin menu and search Figma to Qt. The plugin opened as a panel on the canvas. The first action is frame selection. The designers select one or more frames from the canvas, and these are the screens they want to convert to QML. Once selected, the frame name appears in the plugin panel. This is the starting point. The plugin also supports auto layout. Designs that use auto layout in Figma are handled during the conversion, so your layout structure is preserved as it moves into the QML output. Before we look at how the plugin maps controls, let's look at where the controls come from. Inside the plugin, there is a UI library tab. This is a library of Qt Quick Controls components that you can insert directly into your Figma design. Each component in the library shows you the available states: default, hovered, pressed, and disabled. These states map directly to QML control behavior. When you hit Insert, the component is placed on your canvas, already structured in a way that the plugin understands. This is the starting point for a clean conversion. When a designer builds their screens using components from this library, the plugin can identify them reliably and map each one to the correct Qt Quick control. Let us see this in action. On the Setup Primary Infusion screen, I will select the Start Infusion button. The plugin shows the mapping panel where the control type is set to Button. From here, you can choose the control type from the drop-down and configure each of the states yourself. This means that you are not limited to components from the UI library. You can bring your own Figma components and map them to the correct Qt Quick control directly from this panel. This is the connection between your design and the QML output. The same logic applies across all 3 screens. In this screen, the volume and flow rate fields map to text field. The KVO option maps to checkbox. On the infusing screen, the keypad lock toggle maps to switch. On the system settings, the alarm volume controls maps to slider. The 3 device toggles map to switch, and the run action maps to button. Across these 3 screens, all 5 supported controls are present and correctly identified. With the frame selected, we can click Live Preview. The plugin launches a preview directly from Figma, so you can check how the design renders as QML without leaving your workflow or waiting for a developer to build anything. You can switch between multiple screens here: Setup Primary Infusion, Infusing, and System Settings, and check how each one of them looks as QML. The supported controls you saw mapped in the previous step are rendered as their Qt Quick Controls equivalents. Other elements are rendered as they are handled by the plugin. You can also set the resolution to match exactly the target device. For embedded displays like this one, that matters. What you see in the preview reflects how the design will render on a physical screen. On the left side of the preview, you have the File panel. This is where all the screens in your project are organized, so you can quickly navigate between frames without going back to Figma. Now, let us look at the Inspect mode. When you click Inspect toggle and hover over and click any element on the canvas, the corresponding QML code is highlighted in the code view on the right. This works in both directions. If you click a line of code, the matching element on the canvas is highlighted. This makes it easy to understand exactly how each part of the design is represented on the output. If you're using custom fonts and want them to appear correctly in the preview, you can upload them via Font Management tab. That requires a Qt account and it's worth setting up. Once your fonts are uploaded and linked to your account, they will be saved and available every time you open the live preview. So you don't have to upload them again. You can create a Qt account at qt.io. Before we go further, the plugin is showing us a warning: missing variables. This is telling us that the design uses variables, colors, and typography tokens that live in a separate Figma library file. Figma does not allow plugins to access variables in other files automatically, so we need to bring them in manually. This matters because Figma to Qt keeps the variable structure intact in the QML output, rather than baking in raw values. That means the output stays connected to your design system. To make that work, the plugin needs to access to those variables first. So let us go and fix this. We will open the Variables tab and import the library. Inside the Variables tab, you have two options: Export and Import. Let me show you how this works across two files. I will now switch to our variable library file called Medical HMI Variable Library. This is the file where all the design tokens live, the color and the typography values. With the plugin open here, I go to the Variables Library tab and I click Export. The plugin generates a JSON file with all the variables definitions and I save it to my computer. Now I'll switch back to our main file, the Magical HMI Playground. This is the file we have been working in throughout the demo. So I open the plugin and I go back to the Variables tab in the plugin. And at this time, I click Import. I select the JSON file I just exported from the Variables library, and the plugin brings all the tokens in. The design now has full access to the variable set. And if I go back to the Issues tab, the warning clears. This is a two-file structure, one file for the variable library and one for the product screens. And it's intentional. It means the design system and the product UI can evolve in parallel. And the plugin keeps them connected at export time. Before exporting, you can configure the output yourself. At the layer level, you can mark any element as skip layer, which removes it from the QML output entirely, or render as an image, which converts it into a static image asset instead of attempting a QML conversion. At the output level, you set the image format for any image assets, PNG or JPEG. You can also choose the QML file type. Depending on the toolchain you're working with alongside your developers, you can generate .qml or .ui.qml, or you can also generate a cmakelist.txt file. For this demo, we are generating a .qml, which works directly with Qt Creator. When the configuration is ready, clicking Download exports the QML file and asset into a zip. The developer downloads that zip and opens it directly in Qt Creator, Visual Studio Code, or Qt Design Studio. The design is already in QML. The designer stays in Figma, the developer stays in their tools. Figma to Qt is the translation layer between them. No need to write QML by hand from a static image, no guesswork about control mapping or spacing. The design intent travels directly into the code base. That is the full Figma to Qt workflow. Frame selection, Qt Quick Controls mapping, live preview, variable import configuration, and export to Qt Creator, Visual Studio Code, or Qt Design Studio. Figma to Qt keeps designers in control of the user experience, so the design reaches the product looking exactly the way it was designed. You can find the documentation and download link at qt.io. Thank you for watching.